course over the weekend?
Positive steps?
Positive or negative?
There aren't any positive steps I have to
There are no positive steps.
No additional, no.
The State Department also said that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry called Prime Minister Netanyahu to update him on nuclear talks with Iran. In the conversation, Kerry said that Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei calls for Israel's destruction in his Twitter account was unacceptable and shocking. Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President Joe Biden pledged to the Jewish Federation's General Assembly in National Harbor, Maryland, that the United States will not let Iran have a nuclear weapons capability, adding that not too much should be made of tensions between the U.S. and Israel.
I've heard so much malarkey about our position on Iran. Let me say it to you clearly, in Biden-esque way. We will not let Iran acquire a nuclear weapon. Period. 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 And I would not put my 42-year reputation on the line where I'm not certain when I say it, we mean it. The United States and Israel have an especially deep security partnership. But here's the deal, folks, and you get it. Like all close friends, we talk honestly with one another. We talk directly with one another. We disagree with one another. We love one another and we drive one another crazy. I'm serious. That's what friends do. I think everyone would agree. The last thing we need, and the quickest thing to halt any major strategic realignment that could benefit Israel's security, is the failure to reach a two-state solution, or even worse, a renewed crisis, another intifada on the ground. And that's why it's so critical that as we work toward lasting peace, we also take steps to ensure that tensions don't boil over into conflagration and conflict in Jerusalem. All sides need to avoid incitement and demonstrate restraint. It's just too easy for provocation or incitement.
Overnight, the 328 billion shekel 2015 state budget passed its first reading in the Knesset. 58 coalition Knesset members voted in favor, while 46 lawmakers voted against. While presenting the budget, Finance Minister Yair Lapid said it is one that addresses the problems of the middle and lower classes. According to Lapid, the budget will help lower food and housing prices while not raising taxes. Opposition leader Isaac Herzog had a totally different take, calling the budget a political adventure by a cowardly prime minister and a rookie finance minister that is destined to fail. Elements of the budget still face stiff opposition, even within the coalition, and a number of amendments are expected before it reaches the plenum for its required second and third readings. The Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah was apparently planning an attack in Peru. Authorities in Lima said they have arrested a Lebanese man on suspicion of terrorist activities after they raided his house and found a stash of explosives and weapons. The suspect admitted to membership in Hezbollah and was identified as Mohammed Rab Hamdal. According to authorities, he was planning to target the Israeli embassy in Lima, as well as a Chabad house and the Jewish Community Center. As a result of the arrest, Peru announced that it had reinforced security at the embassy and at Jewish institutions, as well as at tourist destinations most frequented by Israelis. The United Nations has announced the establishment of a board of inquiry to investigate deaths, injuries, and damage to UN premises during this summer's Gaza war, as well as the discovery of weapons in vacant UN schools. The 5-member independent board will be chaired by Patrick Kammert, a retired Dutch Major General who previously served as Ban Ki-moon's military advisor. Thousands of buildings were destroyed, and at least 223 Gaza schools, either run by the UN Refugee Agency or the Hamas government, were hit in the fighting. A UN spokesman explained the purpose of the inquiry.
It will review and investigate a number of specific incidents in which deaths or injuries occurred at and/or damage was done to United Nations premises. The board will also review and investigate incidents in which weapons were found to be present on United Nations premises. The Secretary General expects that the board will enjoy the full cooperation of all parties concerned.
Police announced today that they have arrested a 38-year-old suspect in connection with the 1998 rape and murder of Israeli teenager Noah Eyal. Police said the suspect is a resident of Jerusalem and the father of 2 girls who works in a car repair shop as an electrician. Eyal's family congratulated police, calling the latest development a remarkable achievement. The case baffled police for years, with detectives working to bring closure to the murder mystery. 2 weeks ago, police announced developments in the murder investigation when a match was made from evidence at the scene to the suspect's DNA. 17-year-old Eyal was last seen in Jerusalem on a February night 17 years ago, walking to a bus stop after seeing a movie with a friend. Sheikh Raed Salah, head of the northern branch of the Islamic movement, has been convicted of racist incitement by the Jerusalem District Court, granting an appeal by the state. 7 years ago, Salah called for an intifada at Friday prayers in the Wadi Joz neighborhood of Jerusalem, setting off a wave of clashes which resulted in the wounding of 3 border policemen. The conviction was a reversal of an early acquittal on charges of racist incitement. Dozens of his supporters rallied outside the courthouse. Salah previously served time in prison for funding Hamas and was on the Mavi Marmara flotilla when it was raided by the IDF. 19 new judges were sworn into office at the president's residence. Former Attorney General Meni Mazouz was sworn into the High Court of Justice, replacing Edna Arbel. In January, Anat Baron will become a member of the High Court as well. 9 judges were appointed to the district courts, while another 9 were sworn into the country's magistrates' courts. President Reuven Rivlin warned against baseless charges against the court's objectivity, and High Court President Asher Grunis spoke out strongly against the Knesset bill that attempts to reinstate laws rejected by the High Court. Bat Yam Mayor Shlomi Lachiani has announced that he is quitting his job. This following his criminal conviction and a decision not to appeal. Lachiani cut a plea bargain with the state and was convicted on multiple charges of breach of public trust and fraud. The more serious charges of bribery were dropped in return for the deal. The 48-year-old Lachiani was first elected in 2003 and is largely credited with rejuvenating the seaside city. The Interior Ministry said that within a few weeks' time, a date will be set to elect a new mayor. Turning to sports, and it's now 3 straight embarrassing losses for EuroLeague and Israeli League champions Maccabi Tel Aviv. The perennial powerhouse rarely loses in local league action, and now it's 2 straight against local competition as they were trounced at home in a Tel Aviv derby 78-58. It was almost as bad as their 96-63 drubbing at the hands of Hapoel Jerusalem last week, with a loss in between those games in EuroLeague action at home against the previously winless Zagreb. There was no contest from the opening tip-off as Hapoel raced to a 25-10 lead by the end of the first quarter and never looked back. Larry O'Bannon was the game MVP with 29 points and 13 rebounds and was clearly pleased with his performance, as he told Israel Sports reporter Leon Vildau.
You know what, man, I just came out and just stayed within our game plan and just do what I do, man. If I was open, I shot the ball. Otherwise, you know, get it to my teammates. Just try to fit within. It was my first game, you know, happened to be a good game. So hopefully we continue this streak and get some games going.
You came to the game as complete underdogs. What made it for you guys tonight?
We just came out. We just wanted to play hard. You know, we knew they were going to come out aggressive because they had lost a couple. And so we just wanted to come out and be aggressive, and it worked out for us tonight.
Reunited with Coach Katash, something that makes you happy, I guess.
It's pretty cool, man. I like Katash. I got to play for him a lot a couple of years ago, and we hit it off pretty good. And most of all, he's a good coach, but he's a good friend and a person I can talk to on and off the court, man. So I really appreciate the opportunity to come back and play for him again.
Taking a look at local finance, the shekel was mixed in foreign currency trading, while share prices on the Tel Aviv Stock Exchange were also mixed. Here's a look at the late afternoon numbers. Turning to the weather, and the pleasant temperatures will continue tomorrow under partly cloudy skies near the highs and lows. And that's all for this newscast. Please join us again tomorrow at the same time for all the latest news from Israel. I'm Laura Cornfield, wishing you a great evening and shalom from Jerusalem.